All right, guys, this video is to show you what happens from the time we finish your event, from backing up pictures to going through what's called our culling process. So you get a real look and see how we determine which photos go into your full gallery that we're going to deliver to you, some of the decision making around that, and how we actually utilize some technology and algorithms to help us speed up the delivery timeline. So that way, ultimately, what that leads to is your photos edited in your hands more quickly and a way for you to relive those memories. So we'll jump right into the video. All right, so the first thing we're going to do when we get back from a wedding like we just had this past weekend, it's a lot of logistics. So first thing we always want to do is make sure we back up all our files. And then what I'm actually going to do is show you how we start the process of going through your pictures. So there's a term in photography called culling, C-U-L-L-I-N-G. That's the process of weaving out any of the bad photos that may have been shot in during your occasion or your wedding. So for example, you may shoot, or we may shoot on any given event, if it's one day, a good 3,000 pictures. But in terms of the delivery to the client, we don't want to hand over 2,000 to 3,000 pictures because that just is very unhygienic. So what we'll do is we'll go through the culling process. And that culling process really is meant to be designed to identify duplicate shots, out of focus shots, anything that might be amiss. So let's say it's an error in the camera. Let's say we just by accident shoot a picture, or if it's a test shot, for example. Culling is really the process to weave all that out. So that way you as a customer get a definitive list of pictures, gallery of pictures that are fully edited and have been sorted through, organized, and grouped. And each photo should be a hit, not necessarily lower quality. We want to make sure we're maximizing quality here. So we'll show you exactly how we go about and do that. So what we first do is we'll go through and back up all our pictures. So for any given event, we may have multiple cameras, multiple memory cards. What we're really doing is backing up what's called a raw file. And now raw files are what's the equivalent of a digital negative. So for example, when film used to take place, like when photographers used to use film back in the day, raw files were basically the film, and they were using that negative to produce the final image. Now, in the digital era, photography has gone fully digital, so the equivalent of what is a viewable file in terms of raw versus produced is an ARW, or for a Sony camera, it's ARW, and then it gets produced into a JPEG, which is the type of format that we're accustomed to, that has all the features and all the color built into it. So when we first back up our raw files, the raw files are really just larger pictures, but with a lot of data. And that data allows us to adjust hues like saturation, color tones, contrast, and really give it the look and feel that we expect our photos to turn out with when we give it to our clients. So that data fully is just something that we back up, so we grab and make sure we have every single image on hand. We go through that backup process. You'll see here we have Katie, who was my bride this past weekend. We have about 1,050 photos there, and then another 901 photos here. So culling is really just the first step in the process. So after we back up and make sure we have every single file, we do a double check to say, okay, if we've got 901 files here, I'm going to go into my memory card and double check how many files we have from, which is another wedding here. And we'll just reconcile those numbers. Once we do that, then we're going to the process of culling. And culling is really where we say, okay, out of all the images that we shot, which ones are keepers? And the ones that are going to be keepers are going to be the ones that we identify where there might be a duplicate, like these two, for example, here. Our algorithms are going to say, well, you should consider keeping both of them, but we're going to go through the process and say, okay, well, I like that one because it's a tilt a little more. This one's probably might be a little less in focus. So out of the three, I'm going to keep that one, and I'm going to get rid of these two. So we'll go through that process throughout the entire wedding of the photos that were in the wedding set, and then determine which of these are we're going to keep. Now, obviously for a bride, we don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of pictures, although there's some great, cute, candid ones that we'd want to utilize. But something like this, we may not want to keep, so we'll go ahead and mark that out. Obviously, we want to be mindful of privacy, so obviously if you're getting dressed, we want to just be careful that, there's no, let's just call it slippage, or anything like that that could compromise the image. So each of the photos that we go through is really meant to say, okay, does this photo stay in our gallery? Is it something that we see as a keeper in terms of a memory we're going to deliver to you? And we'll go through that process and make sure that everything's been fully vetted through. Now, what's great about Imagine, which is a tool that we use for our culling, we're actually building our own proprietary version of that as well. But right now, as we're using Imagine, you're going to see here they have a great feature that allows us to determine or automatically group together the similar pictures. So if I've got 5 photos here of mom buttoning up our bride's dress here, what the culling algorithm says is, hey, you've got 5 very similar pictures here, and it'll show us which one do they recommend, which is this one because of the expression, the exposure, etc. And it's already done that for roughly, we've shot a little less than 2,000 pictures, so it's gotten down to 842, and each of those 842 have been selected as potential photos for the gallery. We go through and just double check the algorithm to make sure it had made the right choice in each of these scenarios. So it's a great tool. What we do is we'll go through the process now and just determine which of these we keep here in terms of our final set. I may go through and say, well, I like the lighting on this one, but not this one, even though it's a great photograph. I'll continue to go through this process and just make sure that any of the photos that we deliver is fully tailored to you and your family. And we want to make sure that we're delivering great pictures for our clients. What we'll show in another video is going to be the editing process, how we actually go through and fine tune some of the color corrections and the edits that occur, more around adjusting contrast and the vibrancy in every picture, that we can get an idea like what really goes behind the scenes between the time that we finish your wedding or event and the time you actually get the photos in the gallery. So a lot more to go, and we'll see you in the next one.